Hey, I'm Gregg. Today I'm on the couch with Patrick Ryan Clark, word recording artist and worship leader at my church, Watermark Community Church in Dallas, Texas. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
We go to a community church, Watermark Community Church, and so obviously that's a big part of being at the church is doing community groups. Mm-hmm. Would you talk about the role that community's played in your life and why it's important?
You know, it was cool because I didn't know you were going to ask that question, but I did think on driving up here just some of the things in my life that God's used, probably to change me into the man I am today. And I would say the number one thing is community. And just having people in our life. The kind of way we say it at Watermark is just doing life with people.
Sure.
And so just that idea of having 4 other couples that we meet with weekly, and even kind of separating those and having our guide time every Tuesday morning, and just making community a huge part of our life, man. Really, my wife would say the same thing, that our marriage is different because of community.
Yeah.
And just having people in our life who can say, "Hey, man, I'm seeing this," and people for me to go to and say, "Hey, I wasn't my best here. I failed in this area. I need help or encouragement here." And so just having people, I never had that growing up, So I always, you kind of struggle with something in high school or you go through something in college. I never really had that community piece, and so you just kind of hold everything in, and
sure,
and it bogs you down, and there's guilt and shame, whether it's a struggle or if you just have questions. But now just bringing everything into the light and just living openly and authentically with people, it's really changed our marriage and who I am. So yeah.
That's really cool. Well, I've noticed that too, being in a community group, which is what you were talking about, where we do meet every week, and it has just changed my marriage as well. Like the more that you open up with people and are real with people, the more it affects all the different areas of your life.
Absolutely, man.
That's really cool. Your current song on radio is Mercy. I love that song. You co-wrote it with Carrie Pierce, and I believe you said it involved when you went to Celebrate Recovery. So I was curious about, could you talk about that song and what it means to you?
Yeah, that was a crazy time in my life, and I wrote this song about 6 years ago, and it was my second year of marriage, and there was some sin that I had in college that when I got married, I figured, hey, I can just kind of push that sin to the side in those struggles, and now that I'm married, this won't be a problem anymore. And really, my first year of marriage was great, but the problem is I never dealt with this sin in my life, and so it was kind of always there, but just kind of hidden away. And so my second year of marriage, this thing kind of crept back into my life, and I found myself really just struggling, just walking and living my life with guilt and shame, and just in a really bad spot. And I remember one night, after talking to my wife for a couple days, of finally just saying, hey, I can't hold this in anymore. I've got to confess and tell her what I've been doing, what I've been looking at. And so at like 3 a.m, I sat my wife down and just said, hey, I'm fully prepared for you to divorce me. I'm fully prepared for, I really thought, I had bought into the lies that the enemy was telling me that your life's basically going to be over. You're going to lose everything. Sure. And so, but I couldn't hold it in anymore. And so I just sat on the couch like this at like 3 a.m. and told my wife, hey, here's who I am, here's what I've been doing, here's what I've been looking at, here's the way I've been lying to you, and I just want to confess all that to you. And I remember she was really broken. We were both broken, and so she was mad and broken, but she also, she just said, I forgive you, and we can beat this thing, we can do it. And so I started, that next Monday, I started going to recovery at Watermark, and which is called Regeneration now. It was Celebrate Recovery. It's a new thing now, but it's basically the same thing. And I just remember that life change kind of started to happen in me where, we didn't have community. We didn't have anybody around me. So I was just kind of living by myself, isolated, and trying to figure things out. But my buddy Carrie Pierce, I had a writing appointment with him just to get together the next day and write. And I went to his house and I said, man, we can't write today. And I told him the story just of, you won't believe what happened last night, and I told my wife all this stuff, and I want to confess it to you too. And he said, man, we need to write right now, and just get that stuff out. And so I told him how when I told my wife, I was in such a broken spot that all I could do was just look up to God and say, I can't do this anymore. You got to come in and rescue me. And I'm tired of living a lie. I'm tired of living this way. And I, just really that idea of just mercy. I give up, And so I told him that, and Carrie and I just started running with that idea of mercy, and just I cry mercy, mercy, and it just turned into this song that we wrote like 6 years ago. It's been on a couple albums. we then brought in Ed Cash to help, because he was like, hey, I have a couple ideas, and he threw a couple different things on there, and what we did was we pointed it really back to that sin. We're like, hey, let's tell that story, man. Let's not shy away from it. Let's tell what's happened, and so that song has kind of followed me, and I think it will follow me as long as I can play and sing, because it's just my story. And it's the story of what God did, and the way that my wife didn't divorce me. I'm a different person than I am now than I was then. You know, I just, life has changed all for the better, and God used that story to bring Himself glory. So, it's awesome. Hey, this is Patrick Ryan Clark, and I live in Faith Village.